How to stop wasting time and get more done. You're wasting time constantly while achieving nothing. Spending hours on distractions pretending to be productive. Watching productive people accomplish in hours what takes you days. Feeling busy yet completing nothing meaningful. Knowing you're wasting irreplaceable time but unable to stop. And losing opportunities because time wasted today cannot be recovered tomorrow. Making productivity impossible that time waste guarantees. This time waste is systematically destroying your potential by ensuring hours vanish into nothing. Destroying your achievement capacity by making you too busy being busy to actually produce. Destroying your opportunities by wasting time when competitors are executing. Destroying your peace by creating constant guilt about wasted time. And destroying your future by guaranteeing that years of wasted time compound into life of unrealized potential. Stopping time waste is not about willpower or motivation, but about systematic elimination of waste sources. Not about doing more, but about doing what matters. And not mysterious talent, but result of specific practices anyone can implement. This audiobook teaches time waste elimination through the framework for identifying where time goes. The practices that eliminate major waste sources, the systems that protect productive time, the methods for maximizing output per hour, and the habits that make productivity automatic. Stop wasting time and start getting more done. Stop being busy without results and start producing meaningful output. Eliminate time waste systematically. Protect productive hours ruthlessly. Focus on high-impact work exclusively and get exponentially more done through commitment, starting now. Chapter 1. Identify where your time actually goes through ruthless. Tracking. Identifying where your time actually goes through ruthless. Tracking reveals waste, because you cannot fix what you don't measure. The tracking principle demonstrates that time waste is invisible without measurement, that most people have no idea where time goes, that tracking reveals shocking waste patterns, that measurement creates awareness, enabling change, and that you cannot manage time you don't track. Most people waste time through never tracking how time is spent, believing they know where time goes without data. Operating on feelings, not facts about time use, not measuring actual time spent on activities, and missing that invisible waste destroys productivity. Invisible waste destroys productivity. Tracking reveals reality. Measure time or stay blind. Research demonstrates that time tracking dramatically improves productivity, that people consistently misjudge time allocation, that measurement reveals waste invisible otherwise, that tracking creates accountability, changing behavior, and that those who track time waste far less. The tracking practice involves recording every activity for 1 week minimum, measuring actual time spent, not estimated, tracking all time including breaks and transitions, using tracking apps or manual logging, being brutally honest about activities, and treating tracking as diagnostic tool, revealing truth. The waste pattern recognition means identifying activities consuming disproportionate time, recognizing time sinks draining hours, observing transitions wasting significant minutes, noticing low-value activities stealing productive time, and using patterns to target systematic elimination. The reality versus perception gap shows comparing tracked time to perceived time allocation, recognizing massive discrepancies between belief and reality, understanding that feelings lie about time use, accepting that objective data reveals truth, and treating gap as wake-up call for change. The major waste categories include social media consuming hours daily, unnecessary meetings wasting time, email checking destroying focus blocks, multitasking reducing actual output, context switching killing productivity, and treating identification as elimination prerequisite. The tracking methods show using time tracking apps like Rescue Time or Toggle, manually logging activities in spreadsheet, setting hourly reminders to record current activity, categorizing time into major buckets, and treating method selection as personal preference. The honest assessment requirement means recording actual activities, not idealized versions, admitting time wasted on distractions, being truthful about unproductive periods, not editing results to look better, and treating honesty as tracking prerequisite. The shock factor recognition involves expecting to be surprised by results, understanding that everyone underestimates waste, accepting that tracked reality differs dramatically from perception, preparing for uncomfortable truths, and treating shock as motivation for change. The data analysis practice shows totaling time in each category, calculating percentages of total time, identifying biggest waste sources, recognizing smallest categories that should be larger, and using analysis to prioritize elimination targets. The calculation of waste means adding all low-value time together, computing total hours wasted per week, extrapolating to annual waste, recognizing that waste compounds over time, and treating calculation as motivation for systematic elimination. The implementation requires tracking all time for minimum 1 week, without exception, measuring actual hours in each activity category honestly, identifying major time waste sources from data, recognizing patterns in wasted time, comparing perception to reality, calculating total waste per week and year, and using tracking data to target systematic elimination, making waste visible, where invisibility made improvement impossible. Invisible waste destroys productivity. Tracking reveals reality. Measure time or stay blind. You understand now that tracking reveals shocking waste, that measurement creates awareness, that data shows truth, feelings hide, that identifying waste enables elimination, and that Chapter 1 provides diagnostic, making optimization possible, where blindness made waste inevitable. Chapter 2. Eliminate low-value activities that consume time without producing results. Eliminating low-value activities that consume time without producing results frees hours for high-impact work, because most time waste comes from doing worthless things. The elimination principle demonstrates that most activities produce minimal value, that 80% of results come from 20% of activities, that low-value work consumes time, preventing high-value work, that eliminating worthless activities is more important than optimizing valuable ones, and that subtraction beats addition for productivity. Most people waste time through doing low-value activities habitually, not evaluating whether activities produce results, keeping busy with worthless tasks, failing to eliminate non-productive work, and treating all activities as equally important. Low-value work wastes time. Elimination creates capacity. Cut ruthlessly or stay busy accomplishing nothing. Research demonstrates that Pareto principle applies to time use, that small fraction of activities produce most results, that eliminating low-value work dramatically increases output, that people waste majority of time on minimal value activities, and that ruthless elimination multiplies productivity. The value assessment practice involves evaluating every activity for actual results produced, rating activities by impact and value, identifying which work matters most, recognizing worthless busy work, and treating assessment as elimination tool. The elimination criteria show that if activity produces no measurable results, eliminate it immediately. That if work doesn't advance important goals, stop doing it. That if task could be eliminated with no real consequence, remove it. That if activity is habit, not necessity, cut it, and treating elimination as default, unless clear value proven. The common low-value activities include excessive email checking throughout day, unnecessary meetings with no clear purpose, busy work creating no actual output, social media during work hours, perfectionism on unimportant tasks, and treating identification as elimination target. The 80-20 application means identifying 20%, producing 80% of results, focusing time on high-impact 20%, eliminating or minimizing low-impact 80%, protecting high-value work time ruthlessly, and treating focus on vital few as productivity multiplier. The elimination resistance overcoming involves recognizing that being busy feels productive even when not, understanding that eliminating activities feels wrong initially, accepting that less can produce more, overcoming addiction to busyness, and treating elimination as essential, not optional. The guilt management shows understanding that not doing everything is acceptable, recognizing that no is productive answer, accepting that elimination disappoints some people, treating boundary setting as strength, and knowing that protecting productive time requires saying no. The systematic elimination method shows listing all regular activities, rating each for value and impact honestly, eliminating lowest value activities immediately, reducing time spent on medium value work, expanding time available for high value activities, and treating elimination as ongoing practice. The value rating system involves assigning numerical scores to activities, calculating value per hour for each, identifying activities with lowest scores, targeting bottom 20% for elimination, and using quantification to remove emotion. The delegation consideration means evaluating whether low-value but necessary tasks can be delegated, assigning appropriate work to others, eliminating from your plate, not from existence when needed, treating delegation as elimination alternative, and focusing your time on highest value work only. The implementation requires evaluating every activity for actual value produced, identifying low-value work, consuming significant time, eliminating worthless activities completely without guilt, reducing time spent on medium-value work, protecting and expanding high-value work time, applying 80-20 principle ruthlessly, and treating elimination as fundamental productivity practice, freeing hours for meaningful work where doing everything kept you busy accomplishing nothing. Low-value work wastes time. Elimination creates capacity. Cut ruthlessly, or stay busy accomplishing nothing. You understand now that most activities produce minimal value, that elimination beats optimization, that 80-20 applies to time, that ruthless cutting multiplies productivity, and that Chapter 2 frees capacity, making high-impact work possible, where doing everything made achievement impossible. Chapter 3. Protect deep work blocks, preventing interruptions and distractions. Protecting deep work blocks by preventing interruptions and distractions enables high-output focused work because fragmented time produces minimal results. The deep work principle demonstrates that focused, uninterrupted blocks produce exponentially more output. That shallow, fragmented work creates busy without productivity. That interruptions destroy focus, costing far more than interruption duration. That context switching kills productivity, and that protecting focus time is productivity prerequisite. Most people waste time through allowing constant interruptions, never creating protected focus blocks, working in fragmented reactive mode, being always available destroying focus, and treating interrupted time as productive. Interrupted time produces nothing. Protected focus creates output. Guard deep work or stay unproductive. Research demonstrates that deep work produces dramatically more output per hour, that interruptions reduce productivity by up to 40%, that it takes average 23 minutes to refocus after interruption, that fragmented time prevents complex work, and that people who protect focus blocks accomplish exponentially more. The deep work block creation involves scheduling specific, uninterrupted time blocks, protecting these blocks absolutely, treating deep work time as non-negotiable appointments, communicating unavailability during blocks, and creating minimum 90-minute focus periods. The interruption prevention means turning off all notifications on devices, closing email and messaging applications, putting phone in different room or drawer, using Do Not Disturb status on all platforms, blocking calendar during focus time, and treating interruption prevention as essential, not optional. The distraction elimination shows removing all potential distractions before starting, closing unnecessary browser tabs and applications, working in distraction-free environment, using website blockers if needed to prevent temptation, and treating distraction prevention as productivity requirement. The availability management involves being strategically unavailable during deep work, batching communication outside focus blocks, setting specific times for availability, training others that you're not always immediately responsive, and treating constant availability as productivity killer. The environment optimization means creating physical space conducive to focus, eliminating environmental distractions, using noise-canceling headphones if needed, optimizing lighting and temperature for focus, and treating environment as focus enabler. The focus maintenance requires starting deep work sessions with clear objectives, maintaining single focus throughout entire block, resisting urge to check messages or switch, pushing through discomfort of sustained focus, and treating focus as practiced skill. The emergency protocol shows establishing clear criteria for actual emergencies, communicating these criteria to others, trusting that real emergencies are rare, not treating every message as urgent, and protecting focus except for true emergencies. The daily deep work requirement means scheduling at least one deep work block daily, treating this as most important meeting, protecting morning hours for deep work when possible, never scheduling over deep work time, and making focused work non-negotiable priority. The progressive extension involves starting with shorter focus blocks if needed, gradually extending duration as capacity builds, working toward multiple daily deep work sessions, building focus, stamina over time, and treating extension as skill development. The implementation requires scheduling daily deep work blocks in calendar, protecting these blocks from all interruptions, absolutely. Eliminating all distractions before starting focus time, communicating unavailability during deep work, creating focus-conducive environment, maintaining single focus throughout entire session, and treating deep work protection as fundamental productivity practice, enabling high-output work, where constant interruptions made meaningful productivity impossible. Interrupted time produces nothing. Protected focus creates output. Guard deep work or stay unproductive. You understand now that focused blocks produce exponentially more, that interruptions destroy productivity, that fragmentation prevents achievement, that protection is essential, and that Chapter 3 enables output making accomplishment possible, where constant interruption made productivity impossible. Chapter 4. Batch similar tasks, minimizing context switching costs. Batching similar tasks to minimize context switching costs multiplies productivity, because switching between different task types destroys efficiency. The batching principle demonstrates that similar tasks done together save massive time. That context switching between different work types kills productivity. That batching eliminates transition costs. That grouping similar work creates efficiency, and that scattered task execution wastes enormous time. Most people waste time through switching constantly between different task types, responding to everything immediately as it arrives, not grouping similar work together, working reactively, not strategically, and treating constant switching as normal when it destroys productivity. Context switching destroys productivity. Batching multiplies efficiency. Group tasks, or waste time switching. Research demonstrates that context switching reduces productivity dramatically. That batching similar tasks can double efficiency, that switching costs include time to refocus and mental fatigue, that grouping similar work eliminates repeated setup costs, and that people who batch accomplish far more. The batching practice involves grouping all similar tasks together, scheduling specific times for task categories, doing all instances of task type in single session, eliminating scattered execution throughout day, and treating batching as efficiency multiplier. The common batchable tasks include email processing in scheduled blocks, not continuously, phone calls grouped into single session, administrative work batched together efficiently, meetings clustered into specific days or times, errands combined into single trip, and treating batching as default approach. The email batching specifically shows checking email only at scheduled times, processing all email in single focused session, responding to all messages together, not checking continuously throughout day, treating email as batched work, and recognizing that constant checking destroys productivity. The meeting batching means scheduling all meetings on specific days when possible, clustering meetings together temporarily, protecting other days for deep work, avoiding scattered meetings destroying focus time, and treating meeting batching as strategic calendar management. The task categorization involves grouping work by type, not urgency, organizing tasks into categories suitable for batching, identifying similar work to combine, scheduling batch processing times, and treating categorization as batching prerequisite. The transition cost awareness shows understanding that switching costs significant time and energy, recognizing that each switch requires mental reset, calculating actual cost of constant switching, treating transitions as expensive overhead, and using awareness to motivate batching discipline. The batch session structure means allocating specific time block for task category, processing all similar items during block, completing entire batch before moving to different work, avoiding partial processing, and treating complete batch as session goal. The urgency resistance involves batching even when individual items feel urgent, recognizing that most urgent things can wait for batch, understanding that reactive scattered processing is less efficient, trusting batch system over urgency feelings, and treating discipline as productivity requirement. The workflow optimization shows organizing batched work for maximum efficiency, arranging tasks within batch for smooth flow, minimizing setup time within batch, creating templates or systems for repeated work, and treating batch optimization as efficiency multiplier. The implementation requires identifying all similar tasks suitable for batching, grouping these into clear categories, scheduling specific batching times in calendar, processing all similar tasks together in dedicated sessions, eliminating scattered reactive execution, resisting urgency to break batch discipline, and treating task batching as fundamental productivity practice, multiplying efficiency, where constant context switching wasted time and mental energy. Context switching destroys productivity. Batching multiplies efficiency. Group tasks or waste time switching. You understand now that similar work batched saves massive time, that switching kills productivity, that grouping eliminates transition costs, that discipline beats reactive, and that Chapter 4 multiplies efficiency, making productivity possible where scattered execution created constant waste. Chapter 5. Use time blocking, scheduling every hour preventing reactive mode. Using time blocking by scheduling every hour prevents reactive mode because unscheduled time gets wasted on whatever appears most urgent. The time blocking principle demonstrates that scheduled time gets protected, that unscheduled time gets wasted, that planning hours in advance prevents reactive firefighting, that time blocking creates intentional productivity, and that reactive unscheduled work is least productive. Most people waste time through working reactively, responding to urgency, not scheduling their day in advance, letting urgency determine activity, having unstructured time that gets wasted, and treating reactive mode as unavoidable when it's chosen. Unscheduled time gets wasted. Time blocking creates productivity. Schedule everything or work Research demonstrates that time blocking dramatically increases productivity, that scheduled time is far more productive than unscheduled, that planning prevents reactive mode, that people with blocked schedules accomplish exponentially more, and that reactive mode produces minimal meaningful output. The time blocking practice involves scheduling every hour of workday in advance, assigning specific activities to specific time blocks, treating scheduled blocks as appointments with yourself, planning tomorrow's blocks at end of today, and making schedule before day begins. The block types include deep work blocks for focused important work, administrative blocks for necessary routine tasks, meeting blocks for scheduled interactions, communication blocks for email and messages, break blocks for recovery, and treating variety as complete schedule. The morning blocking priority means blocking most important work for morning hours when energy highest, protecting morning for deep work, scheduling high-impact activities early, avoiding meetings and interruptions before noon when possible, and treating morning as most valuable productive time. The realistic blocking involves scheduling less than full capacity allows, building buffer time between blocks, accounting for transitions and breaks, not overscheduling, creating impossible expectations, and treating realistic scheduling as long-term sustainability. The block protection requires treating scheduled blocks as sacred commitments, not allowing urgent to override important scheduled work, defending blocks from interruptions and requests, maintaining scheduled discipline consistently, and treating protection as productivity requirement. The flexibility management shows adjusting blocks when truly necessary, rescheduling displaced work immediately, not abandoning it, maintaining overall structure despite tactical changes, not using flexibility as excuse to abandon system, and treating structure as default, with intentional exception. The evening planning ritual means reviewing tomorrow's schedule before leaving today, adjusting blocks based on new information, ensuring most important work is scheduled, preparing for next day, and treating planning as productivity prerequisite. The calendar discipline involves actually following planned schedule, starting blocks on time, ending blocks on time, moving to next scheduled block, treating schedule as boss, and building discipline through consistent practice. The block size optimization shows using longer blocks for deep work, shorter blocks for administrative tasks, appropriate duration for each activity type, avoiding too many short blocks, and treating block sizing as efficiency factor. The implementation requires scheduling all work hours in advance each day, assigning specific activities to specific time blocks, treating blocks as non-negotiable appointments with yourself, protecting scheduled time from interruptions and urgency, maintaining discipline following schedule consistently, adjusting when necessary but maintaining structure, and treating time blocking as fundamental productivity system, preventing reactive waste where unscheduled time gets consumed by whatever appears urgent, making intentional productivity impossible. Unscheduled time gets wasted. Time blocking creates productivity. Schedule everything or work reactively. You understand now that scheduled time gets protected, that planning prevents reactive mode, that blocks create intentional productivity, that discipline matters, and that Chapter 5 provides structure, making achievement possible, where reactive, unscheduled work created constant waste. Chapter 6, Single Task, focusing on one thing until complete. Single tasking, by focusing on one thing until complete, produces far more output than multitasking, because divided attention creates illusion of productivity without results. The single tasking principle demonstrates that focusing on one task produces more than doing multiple simultaneously. That multitasking is myth, reducing productivity. That divided attention prevents quality output. That completing one thing beats starting multiple. And that single focus is productivity requirement. Most people waste time through attempting multiple tasks simultaneously, dividing attention across competing priorities, switching between tasks constantly, never completing anything fully, and treating multitasking as efficient when it destroys productivity. Multitasking produces nothing. Single focus creates completion. Do one thing or accomplish nothing. Research demonstrates that multitasking reduces productivity by up to 40%, that human brain cannot truly multitask, requiring rapid switching, that divided attention produces poor quality work, that completing tasks sequentially is dramatically faster than parallel attempts, and that single tasking produces exponentially better results. The single task commitment involves choosing one task as current focus, working on only that task until complete, resisting urge to switch to something else, maintaining single focus despite difficulty or boredom, and treating one thing at a time as absolute rule. The completion over starting priority means finishing current task before starting next, valuing completion over initiation, resisting shiny object syndrome, pushing through to done, and treating completion as primary success metric. The multitasking elimination shows stopping all simultaneous task attempts, closing everything except current focus, removing parallel work temptations, doing one thing only, and treating single focus as non-negotiable. The task sequencing involves ordering tasks by priority and importance, working through lists sequentially top to bottom, completing each task before starting next, not jumping between priorities, and treating sequence discipline as productivity practice. The focus maintenance requires staying with current task despite boredom or difficulty, resisting switch temptation, pushing through completion resistance, maintaining single attention throughout, and treating sustained focus as trained skill. The completion satisfaction shows experiencing accomplishment from finishing tasks, building momentum through completions, proving capability through done work, using finished tasks as motivation, and treating completion as psychological win. The distraction resistance means ignoring new shiny tasks while focused, not switching to easier work when current gets hard, maintaining focus despite interruption attempts, protecting single task commitment, and treating resistance as discipline building. The task breakdown involves dividing large projects into completable single tasks, ensuring each task is finishable in reasonable time, avoiding overwhelming undefined work, making completion achievable, and treating breakdown as focus enabler. The one-task rule enforcement shows never working on more than one thing, always completing current before next, treating rule as absolute, building habits through consistent practice, and making single focus automatic default behavior. The progress visibility means tracking completed tasks, celebrating each finish, seeing accumulation of done work, recognizing that completions compound, and treating visibility as motivation maintainer. The implementation requires selecting single task as current focus, working exclusively on that task without distraction, resisting all switching temptations, maintaining focus until completion, celebrating finished work, then moving to next single task, and treating single tasking as fundamental productivity practice, creating actual output, where multitasking created busy illusion, accomplishing nothing. Multitasking produces nothing. Single focus creates completion. Do one thing or accomplish nothing. You understand now that divided attention prevents results, that single focus produces quality output, that completion beats starting, that sequential beats parallel, and that Chapter 6 enables achievement, making productivity possible where multitasking created activity without accomplishment. Chapter 7. Review and optimize weekly, continuously improving time use. Reviewing and optimizing weekly to continuously improve time use prevents waste from returning, because productivity requires ongoing maintenance, not one-time fixes. The continuous improvement principle demonstrates that productivity optimization is an ongoing process. That weekly review prevents backsliding. That regular optimization catches new waste sources. That continuous improvement compounds gains, and that one-time changes produce only temporary improvements. Most people waste time through optimizing once, then stopping, not reviewing actual results regularly, letting waste creep back in, missing new inefficiencies, and treating productivity as set and forget when it requires ongoing maintenance. One-time optimization fades, weekly review compounds gains. Review continuously or lose progress. Research demonstrates that weekly review dramatically improves sustained productivity, that regular optimization prevents waste return, that people who review continuously improve while others plateau or decline, that systematic review catches problems early, and that ongoing optimization compounds productivity gains exponentially. The weekly review practice involves scheduling fixed weekly review time, analyzing previous week's time use, evaluating what worked and what didn't, identifying new waste sources, planning next week's improvements, and treating review as non-negotiable routine. The review questions include: where did time go last week? What activities produced most results? What time was wasted unnecessarily? What could be eliminated or reduced? What high-value work should be expanded? And treating questions as diagnostic tools. The tracking review means examining tracked time data from previous week, comparing planned versus actual time allocation, identifying discrepancies between intention and execution, recognizing where schedule broke down, and using data for improvement planning. The waste identification involves spotting activities that consumed time without producing value, recognizing new distractions that emerged, identifying where focus was broken, noting what prevented deep work, and treating identification as elimination opportunity. The optimization planning shows deciding what to eliminate next week, planning what to do differently, adjusting schedule based on learnings, implementing new productivity experiments, and treating planning as continuous improvement driver. The progress tracking means measuring productivity improvements over time, comparing output week over week, celebrating gains and learning from setbacks, maintaining motivation through visible progress, and treating measurement as accountability. The system refinement involves adjusting time blocking schedule, optimizing batch processing times, protecting deep work better, eliminating new waste sources, and treating refinement as ongoing practice. The wins and losses analysis shows celebrating what worked well, learning from what didn't work, avoiding repeating mistakes, amplifying successful strategies, and treating analysis as learning opportunity. The next week planning means scheduling important work in advance, blocking time for priorities, protecting focus blocks, batching similar tasks, and treating planning as week preparation. The accountability creation shows reviewing commitments honestly, acknowledging where you failed, taking responsibility for waste, committing to improvement, and treating accountability as growth driver. The long-term tracking involves maintaining productivity metrics over months, observing trends and patterns, recognizing seasonal variations, measuring cumulative improvements, and treating long-term data as motivation. The implementation requires scheduling weekly review session religiously, analyzing previous week honestly using tracked data, identifying waste and improvement opportunities clearly, planning next week's optimizations specifically, implementing changes immediately, tracking progress over time, and treating continuous improvement through weekly review as fundamental productivity practice, ensuring gains compound rather than fade, making sustained high productivity possible where one optimization created temporary improvement followed by regression to waste. You have learned how to stop wasting time and get more done. Identify where time actually goes through tracking. Eliminate low-value activities consuming time without results. Protect deep work blocks preventing interruptions. Batch similar tasks, minimizing context switching. Use time blocking, scheduling every hour. Single task, focusing on one thing until complete. Review and optimize weekly, continuously improving. What matters now is implementing systematic time management, starting immediately. 5 implementation priorities. Track all time for 1 week. Eliminate lowest value activities. Schedule daily deep work blocks. Implement time blocking system. Commit to weekly reviews. Execute these consistently. Eliminate time waste systematically, and get exponentially more done. Stop wasting time and start getting more done. Stop being busy without results and start producing meaningful output. Eliminate time waste systematically. Protect productive hours ruthlessly. Focus on high impact, work exclusively, and get exponentially more done through commitment. Starting now.